Jinling, the ancient capital of the Six Dynasties, one of the birthplaces of Chinese civilization, rich in human geography, has endowed this city with rapid development. Today, Jinling has successfully squeezed into new first-tier cities with a population of tens of millions. Among the population of 10,000, there is a soul who does not belong here, quietly arriving. On Yehua Street, cars are like flowing water and people are like a tide. From noon until noon, the neighborhood that is neither new nor old, that does not belong to the soul here, slowly drifts into this ordinary neighborhood. The eyes that looked like colored glaze opened, looking at the slightly dark yellow ceiling above the head, the owner of the eyes moved. The unintended movement is like a rabbit, full of spirits, like a patient who has been paralyzed for 10 years. The person's fingers twitched slightly, and then moved again. After 10 minutes, the strange soul adapts to the old time. Body of. The arm slowly lifted the quilt covering his body. The pure white quilt was once Wang Yi's favorite color. He struggled to prop up his still limp body and slowly approached the bed. Wang Yi stretched out with one hand in the air. After a few times, I finally got on the bedside table when I was about to rest. Fingers clasped the corner of the table tightly, his body was constantly moving, half of his body was about to stick out of the bed. Wang Yi finally felt what he wanted on the table. A small rectangular red box with 2 big characters written on it, Jinling. Wang Yi held the cigarette in his hand and let out a long sigh. Wang Yi hadn't smoked this Jinling cigarette for nearly 5 years. Puff! Suddenly, his arm was weak, and the suspended body lost its fulcrum. It fell directly to the ground, but Wang Yi did not cry out, because the cigarette had been firmly grasped by Wang Yi. Panting heavily, like a late old man, slowly straightening his body, leaning against the head of the bed. With his hands still trembling, he opened the squeezed cigarette case and pulled out a crumpled cigarette from it. Wang Yi squeezed it in his mouth hard, his teeth biting the cigarette butt, as if someone would it. He took out the lighter under the pillow, opened the cover, and kept sliding the steamer with his thumb. Ba, 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 the hard work paid off. When Wang Yi was about to go crazy, the fire was finally ignited. Approaching the cigarette butt, Wang Yi exhausted the last trace of his body, and the weak flame was directly sucked into the cigarette. Patter the lighter fulfilled its mission and was thrown aside by Wang Yi casually. His body became more limp. Wang Yi leaned against the edge of the bed as if a pile of mud, letting strong smoke linger in his lungs. Thick smoke erupted from his nostrils, blocking Wang Yi's face, and also plunged Wang Yi's consciousness into darkness. Kill! The dead mountain is in a sea of blood. A group of people was surrounded by tens of thousands of zombies. Wang Yi led his corpse hunting team, surrounded by zombies, struggling to break through the convoy. Wang Yi no longer remembers how many zombies have been killed. Every time he takes a step forward, some zombies will fall down. Persist. As long as we break through another 200 meters, we can reach the team. Wang Yi turned his head and shouted loudly at the already slightly exhausted team member. The original fortitude face was stained with the dark brown blood of the zombies, which was very hideous. Old and small. The team member pushed Wang Yi away and slashed behind Wang Yi with a knife. The light of the knife flashed, and the zombie's body was in a different place. The team moved forward slowly, and when Wang Yi was still 100 meters away from the team, an unexpected scene appeared. Zombie King. This was originally supposed to appear in a wave of 100,000 level zombies, but for some reason it appeared in a wave of zombies with only 10,000. It is nearly 3 meters tall, its blue-purple muscles are like a giant python, its eyes are blood red, and each finger is covered with dark black nails, which resembles a steel knife, reflecting a metallic light in the sun. The king of zombies also discovered Wang Yi, and discovered this group of human evolutionaries who are slaughtering wildly among the zombies. Without any hesitation, the zombie king waved his nails like a steel knife and ran towards Wang Yi at an extremely fast speed. Boom, boom, boom. Every time the zombie king ran forward, his heavy body smashed into small pits. It's too fast. Soon Wang Yi has no time to react. When Wang Yi was still more than 10 meters away, the zombie king suddenly kicked his feet the ground, and the ground sank more than half a meter. With the rebounding force, like a cannonball, he came straight towards Wang Yi. When he was still in the air, he waved its sharp claws and cut off Wang Yi's neck. It was actually a claw to cut off Wang Yi's head. How to do? Enter. As your own level 5 evolutionary identity, I am afraid that under the attack of the zombie king, I can't hold on to a few moves. Retreat. Give all the lives of the teammates behind you to the zombie king. When it finishes solving the teammates, the next one to die is himself. The zombie king didn't give Wang Yi much time to think about it. He arrived in front of Wang Yi in the blink of an eye, and quickly waved his claws. Wang Yi greeted him with a sword with both hands. Clang! The sound of metal collision is extremely harsh on this battlefield. Wang Yi's hands trembled by the huge power of the zombie king. Its power is too great. If this continues, everyone in the corpse hunting group will die here. Wang Yi didn't even think about it, and shouted to his teammates behind him. Go! I contain the zombie king. If you can go back alive, help me take care of Waner. OZW.com. Wang Yi's heart-piercing voice rang in the ears of every player. Boss! You go first, I will contain the zombie king. Wang Yi didn't look back, he knew whose voice was from. Xiao Shuang, the half-eldest child that Wang Yi rescued from a group of zombies in the early last days. 6 years later, the child who would only cry in the face of zombies has become a tough guy with all his bones. Whether it is a zombie or a human, he has never softened. The other team members are also vying to get ahead, saying things like letting the boss go first. To shut up. If you have a boss like me in your heart, just let me go. Wang Yi stared at the zombie king in front of him, and said stubbornly. I am the only one here who is a level 5 evolution, and only I can hold the zombie king. Go away, do you want everyone in the corpse hunting group to die here? Boss! If you die here, I will avenge you. With tears in his eyes, Xiao Shuang said these words firmly, turned around and waved, and continued to break through the team with the corpse hunter. Watching the corpse hunting group continue to hack and slay the zombies and break out of the convoy, Wang Yi was relieved. Holding the long knife in both hands, he carefully stared at the zombie king. Wang Yi knew why the zombie king did not continue to attack. The zombie king seemed to have a swift blow, but it did not cause much damage to Wang Yi. On the other hand, the zombie king, a nail on his left hand was cracked by the violent impact just now. The zombie king watched that the team was about to break through the zombie group, and he became a little impatient. Suddenly, the zombie king quickly ran to Wang Yi's side, trying to pass Wang Yi and head straight to Xiao Shuang and others who were about to approach the team. If Wang Yi wants to escape at this time, there may still be a chance to break through the siege, but in that case, Xiao Shuang and the others will definitely die in the hands of the zombie king. Kill! Wang Yi did not choose to escape, but ran directly to the zombie king, blocking the way the zombie king was advancing within a few jumps. It's not that the zombie king is afraid of Wang Yi, but in its eyes, Wang Yi is not as important as that group of people. Wow! Seeing Wang Yi stopping in front of it, the zombie king burst out with a bloodthirsty light in his eyes. He did not go around Wang Yi again, as if he was angered by Wang Yi's actions. His speed suddenly accelerated, and he came straight to Wang Yi. Bah! The zombie king moved his claws together, and his sharp nails moved up and down, slashing towards Wang Yi's shoulders and thighs. Wang Yi's nerves were tense. Seeing the zombie king's double claws attacked, he quickly knelt down on one knee and avoided the claw that he grabbed straight to his shoulder, while the long knife in his hand was stuck on his side. Boom! This time Wang Yi did not completely block the attack of the zombie king. The king of zombie gave an angry blow, although Wang Yi was blocked by a knife, but Julie hit the knife, causing the knife to bend instantly and slap Wang Yi directly. Puff! Wang Yi was shot into the air by this huge force, and blood spurted out in the air. In the distance, Xiao Shuang and the others, who was about to break through the siege, saw Wang Yi who was shot flying by the zombie king. They turned around and killed Wang Yi, regardless of the approaching convoy in front of them. Run! Don't come back! Do you want me to die in vain? Wang Yi didn't care about wiping the blood spilling from the corner of his mouth, watching Xiao Shuang and the others turn their guns back to rescue themselves, shouting eagerly. Boss! Xiao Shuang's tears overflowed instantly. Go! Leave me alone! Wang Yi broke out the last roar, as if begging Xiao Shuang. With this roar, Wang Yi seemed to forget that he was seriously injured by the zombie king. He just landed on his feet and waved his long sword in his hand to kill the zombie king again. Kill! Wang Yi's feet were in the air, and the long knife in his hand swung towards the zombie king's neck. Puff! The nails that looked like steel knives penetrated Wang Yi's back, and inserted them on both sides of Wang Yi's body. Wang Yi didn't hide or block. He knew that if he didn't die, Xiao Shuang and the others would definitely come back to save him. In that case, none of them would want to live. Wow! Go, I'm dead! Go! Wang Yi looked at Xiao Shuang and the others in the distance, staring at him blankly. Tears burst into his eyes instantly. His hands burst out with the final strength, and hugged the zombie king's arm tightly. Go! You can't let the boss die in vain. Xiao Shuang desperately wiped the tears on his face, but somehow, he couldn't wipe it clean. Although his body trembled due to excessive blood loss, Wang Yi still clung to the hands of the zombie king, and for a while, the zombie king did not break free. Yu Guang saw that Xiao Shuang and the others were already in the chariot and galloping away in the opposite direction to Wang Yi. Wang Yi closed his eyes and smiled comfortably, as if that smile drained the last trace of his body and let go of his pale hands. Let the zombie king tear his body. Wang Yi has not forgotten those eyes, as if to blame him for not coming to rescue himself in time. You go out to buy compressed biscuits, energy bars, mineral water to store, don't buy snacks, and buy a few boxes of salt, I will call you over. On the phone, Wang Yi's urgent voice came. Wang Yi, are you crazy? Why am I buying those things? There was an unbelievable voice over the phone. It is estimated that she would have hung up the phone if it weren't for Wang Yi's voice. Do as I said, I will call you 50,000 yuan, buy the things, and I will pick you up in 2 months. Wang Yi did not tell her the truth. If she told her directly that it would be the end of the world in 3 days, she would not listen to Wang Yi's words. Moreover, Wang Yi did this for a reason. He did not let her come directly, but let her be in southern Henan. Buy more compressed biscuits and other materials, and wait until you go north and pass by southern Henan, then you can rescue her and supplement the materials by the way. I don't know what you are going to do, but let's listen to you. How much should I buy? Although her voice was hesitant, she still chose to listen to Wang Yi. I'll call you 50,000 yuan in a while, buy more mineral water, and buy compressed biscuits, salt and energy bars for the rest. Oh my god, you can buy these things for 50,000 yuan, I can't fit them in this room. A surprised voice came from the phone. As many as you can, by the way, you must buy it within 2 days, and then you must not go out in the room. Listening to Wang Yi's somewhat impatient voice, she knew that Wang Yi did not joking with her. Okay, I'll hang up first. Why are you going? Didn't you let you buy things? Wang Yi suddenly increased his voice. How can I buy those things without hanging up? I'm crazy. There was a slightly angry voice. Wang Yi was not angry. He understood that this was a sign of her obedientness. Okay, be obedient, don't go out after you buy something, lock the door, and wait for me to find you. Hang up the phone, go out, go straight to the elevator, now I don't have much time to prepare, I must speed up. Damn! What are you doing so fast? Wang Yi was very worried, but he didn't notice a young woman who came out of the elevator door. "I'm sorry." Wang Yi didn't intend to stay, and after apologizing, he would continue to walk into the elevator. Hey, Wang Yi, what are you doing, so anxious?" The young woman stopped Wang Yi. "Hey? She knows me." Wang Yi carefully looked at the young woman in front of her. She had a delicate face, her brows were lightly frowning on her charming eyes, and one hand was soft on her belly. It should have been Wang Yi who hit her with pain just now. After watching for a while, Wang Yi didn't remember who she was until he looked at the young woman a little scared, put his hands on her chest, and made a defensive gesture. Li Mei, Wang Yi's neighbor, because he had been married to her husband for 3 years and had no children. The two often quarreled. After the end of the world, her husband became infected with a zombie. She staggered out and slapped Wang Yi's door frantically. But Wang Yi didn't dare to save her because of fear, and watched her being eaten by her husband bit by bit. That was also the first time that Wang Yi had close contact with a zombie, otherwise Wang Yi would not be able to remember her, remember the woman who was only half of her body still wailing for Wang Yi to save her. "Oh! Sister Mei, I went out to do something. I went too fast. I didn't pay attention. Forgive me." "Humph, you kid don't know what bad things you are going to do, pay attention next time." He turned around and walked towards the door of his house, rubbing his belly with one hand. Maybe the bump did hurt her just now. "By the way, Sister Mei, I heard that there seems to be a virus these days. You'd better buy something to eat and drink at home for later use." Wang Yi thought about it or told her euphemistically to let her buy something. As for whether his husband would become a zombie, Wang Yi didn't think about it. Even if he was reborn, many things might have changed. Whether she listens or not is her business. "Hey, what virus? Why haven't I heard of it?" Wang Yi ignored Li Mei's question, turned around and walked into the elevator. What Wang Yi said is upside down. Forget it, I'd rather believe it. Now there are too many flus, so let's just listen to him to buy something and save it. Li Mei hovered in the elevator entrance, returned home and put the bag away, took some money and hurried out. Going downstairs and heading straight to the underground garage, Wang Yi finally found his second-hand Jetta in a corner of the garage, relying on the remaining impression in his memory. Boom! OZW.com. He patted the hood vigorously. Hearing the sound that was still thick, Wang Yi suddenly smiled. "Long time no see, old man." Gently stroking the already yellowed car body, Wang Yi still cannot forget. At the beginning of the end of the world, it was this second-hand Jetta who rushed out of the thousands of zombies with him. Without it, I am afraid that Wang Yi would have become food for zombies. "Who is that? Is there something wrong with your head?" A harsh sound suddenly sounded, interrupting Wang Yi's thoughts. Wang Yi turned his head to look and saw a man of about 27 and 88 standing in front of an X5 looking at him. The thin and tall figure, the decent suit, and the brand new X5 parked beside him seemed to tell of his young and promising identity, but the slightly frowning eyebrows behind the rimless gold glasses did reveal a strange look. He despised Wang Yi, the man who drove a broken car and seduced his wife. Chen Jiaming, Li Mei's husband, is considered young and promising. Of course, it has something to do with the support of his family. He opened a company by himself. Although it is not large in scale, it is considered a small asset in Jinling. He has a good life. He has a career outside and a wife at home, but the only thing is that he can't do that. But Chen Jiaming didn't realize it. He always believed that if a man succeeded, he would fail. It was that aspect that failed. Ever since he knew that he could not give birth to a child, Chen Jiaming's attitude towards Li Mei has changed. He is suspicious and always suspects that his wife will cheat. Li Mei is strictly forbidden to contact other men. Even a few words will trigger Chen Jiaming's jealousy. But they live on the same floor as Wang Yi, and sometimes there will be some exchanges that are unavoidable, that is, they are limited to ordinary neighbors. When they see it, they say hello. Such things as eating or not eating are normal. But in Chen Jiaming in his eyes, he felt that his wife and Wang Yi were too close. Seeing Wang Yi still pretending to be stupid, as if he didn't know him, Chen Jiaming felt angry. He felt that it was necessary to remind Wang Yi to stay away from his wife. This broken car doesn't need to be parked in the garage, anyway, it's so broken, it's better to put it outside for ventilation to save moldy. Chen Jiaming walked up to Wang Yi and kicked the Jetta door hard, making a bang sound. Hey, fuck! Wang Yi twisted his eyebrows into twists, with a trace of puzzlement in his eyes, looking at the arrogant man in front of him. Who is he? Wang Yi quickly searched his mind about what it had to do with him, but he didn't have the impression of the man in front of him. In the 10 years of the last days, Wang Yi has already forgotten what should be forgotten, and Wang Yi also does not remember clearly what should not be forgotten. Still acting stupid with me? Chen Jiaming saw that Wang Yi still had that plain expression. His heart couldn't help but his anger surged, breaking through his mind, and his facial muscles trembled uncontrollably. People who are familiar with him would never expect that the usually elegant Chen Jiaming would have this side. Fuck boy! You stay away from my wife in the future. Chen Jiaming, suddenly violent, stretched out his hands to grab Wang Yi's collar, and shouted something that made Wang Yi puzzled. You kicked my car just now, now let me stay away from his wife? Neurotic. Wang Yi lingered in his heart, letting him pull his collar, or Wang Yi did not hide at all. Although this body 10 years ago was not that strong, it was still strong enough to support Wang Yi and stretched out in Chen Jiaming. The moment his arm broke his neck, Wang Yi didn't want that. Wang Yi could kill him, but he had to figure out why. You are. The tone was still so calm, as if he hadn't seen the flushed face of the man in front of him. Who am I? Chen Jiaming's chest was ups and downs, and the look in Wang Yi's eyes was even more fierce. It seemed that he punched hard, but hit the cotton pile, making Chen Jiaming frustrated. You are so crazy with my wife Li Mei every day. You don't know who I am. It seems that Lao Tzu is going to teach you a lesson. Wang Yi even saw in his roaring mouth his back molars with a trace of black fur, and what followed was his fist clenched with thin white fingers. Boom! A muffled sound. The scene Chen Jiaming imagined did not appear, but the boy in front of him suddenly stretched out his palm and clenched his fist. Cracking! A sound of bone rubbing sounded, and Wang Yi's palm slowly contracted until the man in front of him showed a trace of pain. Oh! I remember, you are Li Mei's husband. Wang Yi suddenly realized that he just saw Li Mei upstairs, and then he saw Li Mei's husband in the underground garage in a blink of an eye. It seems that he and their family are really destined. Sigh yes. Since you know I am Li Mei's husband, stay away from Li Mei. Chen Jiaming managed to endure the pain in his palm and shouted these words at Wang Yi, but the violent veins on his forehead still exposed his situation at this time. Creak. The palm of Chen Jiaming's fist continued to be pressed hard, but Wang Yi's mouth showed a strange smile. Wang Yi clearly remembered whether there was anything between himself and his wife Li Mei. Although it was a misunderstanding, the man in front of him just pulled his collar by the collar. Wang Yi couldn't bear this. In Wang Yi's memory, the person in front of him, Li Mei's husband, had been infected with a zombie when the end of the world broke out, but Wang Yi didn't mind. Before he became a zombie, let him experience the most painful things in the world. Who made him offend himself just now? South of the city, Jinrun KTV. The huge parking lot in front of the door was extremely empty. Except for the brand new X5, there was a hint of warmth on the hood, proving that the owner of this car had just arrived here. In the KTV room, 3 young people were sitting inside looking at each other, and Chen Jiaming was sitting in it. Let me explain, brother, you called us here at noon, don't tell me that you came out to play. A man of about 23 and 4, wearing a black tight-fitting short sleeve and a short head, was leaning on the sofa and yawning constantly. Yet, Brother Ming, Just tell me what's the matter. I always sit like this, my waist can't stand it. Another handsome young man in a pink shirt rubbed his lower waist while facing Chen Jiaming complained. I have a rich woman waiting for me, don't delay my earning money. Chen Jiaming didn't pay attention to the two of them, his gloomy face seemed to be dripping with water, he looked at the ashtray in front of him and muttered. Your sister-in-law cheated. What? When the two heard Chen Jiaming's words, they both looked surprised, and the man in the pink shirt looked even more regretful. Sister-in-law cheated? With whom? The weird tone of the man in the pink shirt made Chen Jiaming a little dissatisfied. He glanced at the man coldly, and Chen Jiaming said in a tangled tone. The neighbor next door to us. Neighbor. The little man murmured in confusion. Why does he dare to touch his sister-in-law? I'm not very familiar either. Chen Jiaming rubbed his cheeks painfully. I only know that his surname is Wang, who moved here a year ago. Fuck. The man in the pink shirt couldn't help cursing, with an angry expression. He didn't know that he thought it was his wife who had been greened. That girl Li Mei didn't make it by herself, and she let someone else do it. The man in the pink shirt thought of Li Mei's coquettish figure in his heart, and couldn't help regretting. If you know that she is such a person, you might as well start by yourself. Of course, he dared not say these words in front of Chen Jiaming. Seeing Chen Jiaming's pained expression on his face, the shortcut man asked immediately. Brother Ming, what you mean by calling us? Boom! Chen Jiaming slammed his hands on the table, and interrupted the man with a small head with a look of hatred. I want him to pay, dare to touch Lao Tzu's woman. Here Chen Jiaming is discussing how to deal with Wang Yi, but Wang Yi doesn't know at all. Even if he knew it, Wang Yi would probably sneer. Wang Yi didn't think that the current Chen Jiaming could bring him danger, even if he became a zombie, it would be nothing more than a cut for Wang Yi. Sir, the 50,000 yuan in your card has been transferred in accordance with your request. Do you have any other business to handle? Even through the thick glass, Wang Yi could feel the hypocritical look of the institution-dressed woman in front of him, coupled with her professional smile, made Wang Yi very uncomfortable. Somehow, Wang Yi was expecting the end of the world to come. Sir, sir! The voice of the bank girl awakened Wang Yi. Oh! Wang Yi recovered, looking at the bank card that had been put at the window by the bank girl, and said. In this way, the card still has 50,000 yuan, and you can take it all out for me. Okay, all right. OZW.com. The bank girl groaned and immediately withdrew money from Wang Yi. Wang Yi didn't notice that when he was withdrawing money at the counter, two people were pointing behind him. Hey, brother Lu, look at that kid. One of the middle-aged men in a black jacket saw the bank girl put the $50,000 in the bag, and his eyes immediately let out a strange light. Brother Lu was blocked by Wang Yi's back before. He couldn't see what was going on. He tilted his body slightly, and happened to see Wang Yi taking the bulging bag. Fuck. Second, we are here for business. Brother Lu spit out the chewing gum that he had chewed for an unknown amount of time on the ground, completely ignoring the strange eyes of the people around him. Old rules, you will come first in a while. Brother Lu whispered to the greedy second child. Hey, don't worry, Brother Lu, looking at the kid should be anxious, we will definitely be able to get a big one this time. The man named the second grinned his mouth, his eyes staring at Wang Yi's hand. The purse carried inside. Crack. Pulling the door of the car, Wang Yi threw the wallet to the co-pilot. Now the money has been sent to Yan, the remaining 50,000 yuan, used to prepare some things, should be enough. With this in mind, Wang Yi immediately started the vehicle and drove towards the Jinling Auto Market according to the guidance of the mobile phone map. With so many thoughts in his mind, Wang Yi did not notice that a black electric car was hanging behind his car. Diddy! I slapped the horn hard, and the traffic lights at the intersection had indicated the passage, but the orange car in front was creeping at the intersection. A female driver. With a lingering sound in Wang Yi's heart, he turned the steering wheel and wanted to change lanes to overtake. As for whether or not points will be deducted, Wang Yi is no longer considering. Opportunity here. Second child, go. Brother Lu looked at the Jetta in front of it, which meant to change lanes, and immediately jumped off the car. Good. The second stranger yelled. The electric car's throttle was turned to the end in an instant, and he rushed towards the Jetta car driven by Wang Yi. Okay. Wang Yi hesitated when he saw an electric car rushing towards him in the rear-view mirror. Although the end of the world has not yet erupted, if something unexpected happens now, it will also affect Wang Yi's next plan. Moving quickly, the vehicle immediately stopped and leaned on the road diagonally. Wang Yi wanted to wait for the electric vehicle to pass before passing. Drop. Before the electric car arrived, he honked his horn frantically, causing Wang Yi to frown. Drip! I saw the electric car suddenly leaned over here. Before Wang Yi could react, the electric car slammed into it. Boom! Wang Yi only felt the body shake for a while, and the glass on the door of the car had small cracks, and the man driving the electric car was lying on the hood, howling in pain. Oh! Why did you drive? I didn't see anyone behind. The man lying on the hood patted the front windshield vigorously. Apart from pain, there was a hint of slyness in his eyes. In the 10 years of the last days, Wang Yi met all kinds of people, good or bad, selfish or selfless, and the person lying on the hood and frantically tapping the windshield, Wang Yi saw greed in his eyes. Oh, Tanzi hit me. Wang Yi smiled silently at the man. Wang Yi didn't want to cause trouble, it was because of the urgent time, and Wang Yi couldn't tolerate a little wasted. But if things have been found, Wang Yi is not the one who suffers. Fuck! Wang Yi yelled, and anger emerged in his heart. It was obvious that this person had just hit him. It doesn't matter if the car is crashed, Wang Yi won't feel distressed, but if the 3 precious days are delayed because of this, even if it's only a minute and a second, it can definitely disrupt Wang Yi's plan. Fuck, idiot! Wang Yi couldn't help cursing in his heart. He pushed open the door of the car that had been slammed with his hand, stepped forward and grabbed the man's collar on the hood, while his other hand clenched his fist and pointed it at the man's belly hit it hard. The second child was furiously punched in the abdomen by Wang Yi, and his whole body immediately curled up, his expression on his face was extremely painful, and his hands on the wiper could not be released. The opportunity is here. Wang Yi immediately grabbed his feet, trying to drag him off the hood and get rid of the trouble. Killing! Hit and run away! The second child had tears and a runny face, his hands clasped the sink on the hood, no matter how Wang Yi pulled it, he wouldn't let go. After such a short time, the surrounding passers-by had surrounded them in 2s and 3s. Just now, the situation suddenly occurred and no one could see what was going on. However, seeing the man shouting and running away, a few good passers-by immediately pointed to Wang Yi. Point. This kid wants to run when he hits someone. That's not necessarily true. In this society, there are a lot of people touching porcelain. Without pulling this person off the car directly, there were people around, it was impossible to leave. He gave him a kick and vented his anger. Wang Yi knew that he would be wasting time no matter what. At this time, the drivers behind also got out of the car and surrounded them. Fuck, I saw it all just now, this Jetta stopped, the electric car still hits it, and it hit the porcelain. A driver said angrily, it seemed that he had experienced this kind of thing before. No, I have a driving recorder in my car, buddy, don't use it. Another driver stepped forward and patted Wang Yi on the shoulder with a look of justice. Well, this Jetta is also responsible. You see, this car is obviously changing lanes in violation of regulations. How can you talk about electric cars? The person who was speaking was Brother Lu, who rushed over. Seeing that everyone around him was accusing her second child, Brother Long immediately said something just. Seeing that his accomplice arrived, the second child felt confident in his heart, and regardless of Wang Yi's drag, he clasped the door firmly with both hands. You violated the rules and changed lanes and hit me. Not only did you give me a special punch without compensation, you wait, I'll call the police. The second child pretended to take out his mobile phone as he spoke. This scene really made Wang Yi a little jealous. If you call the police, the matter will be complicated. No matter who is responsible, it will probably take a lot of time. What Wang Yi lacks most is time. The jealousy in Wang Yi's eyes was well captured by the second child. He grinned proudly, and the second child shook his phone at Wang Yi very arrogantly. Why, wasn't it awesome just now? Why don't you talk now? Seeing Wang Yi's silence, the second child immediately yelled. Hey! Come and have a look. This kid bumped me and didn't say anything. He gave me a punch just now. You all saw it. You can testify to me when the police come. The second child looked around, and everyone watching the excitement around him took a few steps back. Everyone could see clearly what was right and wrong. No one came to talk, and he didn't want to get angry. It's okay, just rest, just say, how much do you want? Wang Yi released his hand holding the collar of the second child. If the matter can be solved quickly, Wang Yi doesn't care how much it will cost. Hee. The second child smirked. Since Wang Yi spoke first, his goal has been achieved. OZW.com My car was also crashed, and people were injured. I will have to go to the hospital for a checkup. Well, I won't ask you for more. You have to give it to me now. The second child climbed down from the hood as he spoke, and got under the chassis of the car, with a smug expression on his face. If you don't give it to me, then don't even think about leaving today. Hey! This kid, isn't this a rascal? The uncle on the side looked forward and said. There is nothing wrong with your broken electric car, it just hit a headlight in the sky, and look at your agility, it looks like an injured person. Uncle said as he stretched out his hand. Wang Yi said. Young man, don't be fooled by him. He is just looking at you in a hurry and deliberately asks you so much. Haha, don't worry, uncle. Wang Yi smiled lightly. Since this kid wants money, the matter can be easily solved. Turning around and taking out the money bag from the car, Wang Yi smoothly took out 10,000 yuan from it, bending over and swaying in front of the second child's eyes. The red ticket rustled in front of the second child, only the saliva of the second child's temptation almost fell off. Why, want this money? Wang Yi slowly got up, and squeezed the money in his hand. What do I want? If you hit me, you have to give me money. The second child heard Wang Yi's ridiculous tone, but now the ticket was about to get in hand, and the second child didn't care about it. Hey, I said, brother, you must not give him this money, you are fooled by it. Two migrant workers who had witnessed the whole process stepped forward and said. The two had been watching. Seeing that Wang Yi wanted to give the money to the man who touched the porcelain, he immediately came over to persuade Wang Yi. This kid is a rascal, brother, you might as well wait for the police to come and let them solve it. When Brother Lu in the crowd heard this, his face instantly changed. If you really wait for the police to come, they might not get so much money. Brother, I don't think you have suffered any injuries, or don't ask for that much, just take a 5,000 quick money. Brother Lu immediately stepped forward and said to the second child lying under the car, his expression seemed to be that the two really didn't know each other. Watching him singing double reeds, Wang Yi felt ridiculous in his heart. The two people just didn't know how many times they looked at each other. Wang Yi was already suspicious. Now that he said this again, Wang Yi was even more sure that these two were in the same group. All right, 5,000 is 5,000, just let him give me the money quickly. The second one, seeing his eldest brother winking, immediately changed his words and directly cut the price by half. Brother Lu immediately pretended to be poignant and turned his head and said to Wang Yi. Look, brother, I'll help you with the money. Haha, thank you so much, but since I hit him, I only paid 5,000 yuan, I'm afraid it is not enough to repair the car. Wang Yi smiled and shook his head, his eyes flashed narrowly, wanting me the money is not so easy. Well, I'll pay 10,000. 10,000. The onlookers were in an uproar. They had all heard that bargaining was done at a lower price, but I had never heard anyone say that the price was higher. This kid is probably a second fool. When the second child heard what Wang Yi said, his eyes immediately became misty. For many years, since I stepped on this road, my second child's car has been less than 100 or 80. Every time he asks for money, he is always soft and hard. But like Wang Yi, he actively increases money in his second job. It was the first time in his career. The second child was so touched that even at that moment, the second child didn't want Wang Yi's money anymore, but when he thought that he didn't know what to eat for the next meal, the second child still endured gratitude and stared eagerly to Wang Yi. Hat. Wang Yi chuckled, raising the money in his hand above his head, looking at the crowd onlookers. Some were silent, some were sorry, and some looked at Wang Yi as if they were neurotic. I can give this money. Wang Yi suddenly said loudly, suppressing everyone's comments. But it's not for you. Don't give it to me. Who else do you want to give it to? The second child was taken aback by what Wang Yi said. Could it be that this kid just hit someone else? Who is it for? Who can get you out of my car? I will give the money to whoever. Wang Yi suddenly looked around. That brother helped me by dragging this kid out of my car, who owns this 10,000 yuan? Hey, fuck! Really, don't lie to us. As soon as Wang Yi's voice fell, the crowd of onlookers immediately burst into noise. It's fine to give more money to Tanzi. It may be that he is weak and afraid of things, but if the money is used in this way, most people can't make it. Is this kid a second generation? Impossible, there is the second generation who went out to break the Jeddah. Everyone talked a lot, looking at Wang Yi with a trace of greed and doubt. Brother, what you said is true. Finally someone couldn't calm down. The two workers who had persuaded Wang Yi just now asked Wang Yi with a hint of uncertainty. Of course. Wang Yi nodded, then drew half a wad of money from his hand and threw it in the arms of one of the men. Wang Yi's actions, let alone ordinary people, are really the second generation. I am afraid that no one will do it. After all, this 10,000 yuan is equivalent to giving others to others in vain, but what Wang Yi values is not money, but anger in his heart. Buying materials, the remaining money is enough. Instead of leaving it in your hands as waste paper, it is better to make yourself feel more comfortable. The two workers took the money and looked at each other. One of them took out a vice from his pocket and slowly walked over to the second child lying under the car. They were originally migrant workers, and coupled with the mixed work industry, even if something really happened, they might not be able to find them. So they don't want to be shackled when they do something. Get away! One of them pushed away Brother Lu who was in front of him, bent over and grabbed the greasy hair of his second child, and dragged it out violently. Huzzah! A pickling voice yelled from the second child. His body was like a loach falling in boiling water, swaying desperately, but how could his thin body compare with two workers who deal with masonry all day? I saw that the second child was directly pulled out from under the car by a worker, and even Wang Yi saw a strand of hair stained with blood falling as the second child struggled, throwing the remaining 5,000 yuan to the other. A migrant worker, Wang Yi got in the car immediately, and the person had already been dragged out. Wang Yi didn't want to waste another moment. Seeing in the inverted mirror that the person touching the porcelain was severely kicked by the two migrant workers, Wang Yi nodded with satisfaction. After relived his life, Wang Yi didn't want any unpleasant things to happen to him. Forget the things just now, there are more important things to do by yourself. Rushing all the way and passing several traffic lights, Wang Yi drove straight to the outskirts of the city and came to an automobile trading market. Tongda Truck Rental. Wang Yi looked up at the blue plaque. That's it. Wang Yi murmured that he wanted to rent a truck. In the last days, the importance of trucks is far greater than some cars or off-road vehicles. Trucks can load goods, pull people, and have strong horsepower. If you drive a truck in the apocalypse, your survival rate will increase by at least 10%. The only weakness is fuel consumption, but if you reserve it in advance, there will be no major defects. The off-road vehicle is only suitable for use when there are few people and close to the gathering place, and there is no advantage in that trucks can travel long distances. He parked the car directly in front of the door, and Wang Yi got out of the car and entered the shop. The boss was a fat middle-aged man, and he hurried up when he saw business coming. "Sir, what kind of car do you want to rent? Do you have more horsepower? The cargo box can be smaller. I have some cargo to be brought to the country, which is not easy. It's a medium-sized truck with high horsepower." "Yes, we have a wide range of trucks. Mr. and I will go to the back garage to have a look." The boss heard Wang Yi come in and went straight to the subject. Without delay, he took Wang Yi to the garage. As soon as he entered the garage, Wang Yi's gaze was attracted by a heavy truck parked aside. Seeing Wang Yi looking at the truck, the boss quickly introduced it. "This is a heavy-duty truck, with a total length of 9.5 meters, a cab length of 2 meters, 4 fronts and 8 rears, strong grip, 480 horsepower, maximum torque of 2100 Nm, fully enclosed cargo box, maximum 20 tons of cargo." As soon as the boss introduced, Wang Yi didn't actually listen to much. He just saw that the truck has 12 wheels. It must have some off-road capability, and the cargo box is not too big. It does not have the clumsiness of a normal truck. The windows are fully enclosed, so when you rent them out and remodel them, you can use less effort. Wang Yi reached out and knocked on the sheet metal of the car, which sounded thick. "Sir, when the owner of this car handed over the car to us, the front and rear anti-collision steel beams were reinforced. The whole car is extremely rigid." "Okay, just this one. Rent it for 3 days. You can calculate how much it costs." Wang Yi was also quite satisfied with this truck, so he didn't waste time looking at other cars. "Okay, wait a minute, just say the boss takes out the calculator and forget it. Sir, this car is rented for 10,000 yuan a month, and the driver counts separately. If it is only rented for 3 days, the price will be higher, 500 yuan a day." The boss rubbed his hands with embarrassment. After all, truck rental is at least monthly. Wang Yi only rents for 3 days, so the price will naturally be higher. "Okay." Without any hesitation, as long as the car is suitable, let alone 500 a day, Wang Yi won't blink even if it is 5,000 a day. "Go through the formalities now, no driver." This is Wang Yi's only request. Wang Yi didn't drive the truck away, but continued to drive the second-hand Jetta to the next destination, the military supplies store. "When I entered the door, I took 2 pairs of combat boots and a few sets of camouflage uniforms. Under the different eyes of the clerk, I didn't ask the price. I took a photo of $2,000 and turned away." In the next half-day, Wang Yi traversed almost the entire Jinling, buying all the items that could be used in the end times. Wang Yi also bought several sets of binoculars, maps, a large box of soap, and countless daily necessities, even toothpaste and toothbrushes. To live a lifetime again, Wang Yi naturally couldn't walk the same way he had taken in the previous life. Wang Yi's plan is to start from Jinling, pass through southern Henan and western Shaanxi, and finally reach the Daking mountain in the north of Hohhot, Mongolia. It may even reach some cities in Yibei province in the middle. The distance is more than thousands of miles. If you drive normally, it takes less than 20 hours to arrive, but if in the last days, it would be impossible to reach this 1,000 kilometers in less than 2 months. OZW.com. At the beginning of the end of the world, electricity and communication equipment in almost all countries have been paralyzed. Although the electronic map in the mobile phone or tablet computer is convenient and detailed, after the power is lost, it becomes nothing usefulness. Therefore, the paper maps of various provinces and cities have become particularly important. Wang Yi bought a few maps of the whole country, detailed maps of cities that might pass along the way, and a national road map, which recorded the detailed locations of highways in various provinces and cities in the country. After finishing all these things, it was already 5 o'clock in the evening. Wang Yi drove the Jetta car full of cargo in the co-pilot's position and drove quickly to the car market. Wang Yi wanted to move all the things on the Jetta to the truck inside, and then drove the truck to refit. Diddy. In an urban area with a speed limit of 40, an old Jetta completely disregarded the traffic rules and drove at a high speed of nearly 100. It saw stitches and completely ignored the curses of other car owners. I'm in a hurry. Special code. A couple was just about to cross the road, but a grey afterimage suddenly flashed in front of them. The gale brought up directly blew the girl's short skirt, revealing the black reflective buttocks underneath, causing the passers-by to make hiss. Don't watch it, you have to see your wife. The man immediately stretched out his hand to block the short skirt that his girlfriend was blowing up, and cursed impurely. A red bird of prey was driving slowly on the white asphalt road on the outskirts of the city. There was a man and a woman sitting in the car, dressed in luxurious clothes, and the woman looked only 18 or 9 years old, with a delicate appearance. But at this time she seemed to have lost her temper, tilted her head to one side, and did not look at the man driving. Xiaobing, don't get angry with your brother, isn't this also because my dad asked me to take you home? Shen He shook his head helplessly. This younger sister had never made anyone worry since she was a child, and this time she went so far as she ran so far without telling her family. Humph! If it wasn't for you to make a small report with Dad, Dad wouldn't know that I came here to play. Shen Bing pouted, and cast a reluctant look at his brother who was driving. Next time I will never tell you where I am going to play. You. Shen He was trembling with anger from his sister. Just about to speak, Yu Guang saw a dilapidated Jetta coming fast in the rear mirror. Scared Shen He hurriedly turned the steering wheel to avoid the Jetta. Damn! Shen Bing didn't react, and his head hit the car window directly. The window was fairly strong and not broken, but Shen Bing's head was painful. How did you drive? Shen Bing stretched out his little hand and touched his head. He just happened to touch the big bag, and the painful expression on this little Nazai changed. Did he? Shen He honked the horn hard, but the Jetta was too fast, and with such a blink of an eye, he was almost out of sight of the two. Catch up! Shen Bing, who was sitting in the co-pilot, waved his powder fist with an angry expression on his face. This person is dying, driving so fast, let's catch up and teach him. It is good. Shen He also looked angry. Although there are not many cars on this section of the road, you can't drive so fast. Look at the speed, at least it's 100. But this really can't blame Wang Yi. Those who don't know are fearless. If everyone knows that the end of the world will break out immediately, I am afraid that their driving speed will not be much slower than Wang Yi. Nearly 1 day has passed since these 3 days. Wang Yi just prepared some not too important items, and there are 2 days left for Wang Yi to modify vehicles and build weapons. Time is tight, how could it be possible? Not in a hurry? Boom! Although the Raptor is a pickup truck, its own horsepower is not weak. Under Shen He's intentional acceleration, within a few minutes, it has caught up with the high-speed Jetta ahead. Hey, brother! What do you think he does with so many things? The car is full. Shen Bing was condescending, and saw that the Jetta was full of convenience bags and cardboard boxes, and the man who drove just showed his head. Follow him, let me teach him. Shen He chuckled, slammed on the accelerator, and the Raptor jumped out instantly, just half the front of the Jetta, and then he slammed the steering wheel and quickly approached the Jetta. Diddy. Fuck. What are you doing? Wang Yi was thinking about something in his heart, but suddenly he leaned over the red pickup truck. A cold sweat appeared on his forehead, and his feet quickly cooperated to avoid the approaching pickup truck. Oh! Brother is so amazing! Shen Bing immediately burst into laughter when he saw that Jetta was pinned to the back. Innocent and ignorant, she didn't know the consequences of doing this. If it weren't for Wang Yi's quick reaction, now that the two cars have collided, at such a fast speed, no matter which side, there will be no good end. That is. He smiled triumphantly. He knew the danger just now, but as a second generation, he didn't think that there was nothing that money could not solve. Manipulating the Raptor to speed up quickly, the two brothers and sisters were talking about the thrills just now, while driving the vehicle to throw Wang Yi's Jetta far away. Fuck! Wang Yi looked at the bird of prey riding Jueshan, and couldn't help but scream. It was really terrifying to Wang Yi just now. This has nothing to do with personal experience. No matter how powerful you are, you might encounter this situation. Will tremble sharply. If it wasn't because he still had something to do, Wang Yi even wanted to catch up and beat the man who drove the bird of prey. Take a deep breath and leave these thoughts behind. Time is running out and there is no room for surprises. Driving the Jetta onto the ramp, carefully driving all the way to the Tongda truck rental company. The situation just now also sounded the alarm for Wang Yi. After all, the end of the world has not erupted yet, and Wang Yi does not want to fall directly before the end of the era for other reasons. With the help of the boss, all the goods were moved into the carriage. Wang Yi clapped his hands and handed the remaining deposit to the boss. Buy more food and drink these days, if something happens, try not to go out. Wang Yi said one last word to the boss, immediately turned to the truck, and then drove the truck away with the boss's awkward expression. The boss, Monk Zheng Er, was puzzled, but watched Wang Yi directly get into the truck to drive away. The Jetta was still aside and the key was not removed. Hey, sir, don't you want the Jetta? What Wang Yi gave him back was black smoke. Why is this kid so weird? I don't need the car. Forget it, I will put it away for him first, and wait for him to return the car to him. The boss was puzzled, but he didn't pay attention to the advice Wang Yi gave him. Next to Lishan Forest Park, Zanfei Car Repair Factory. Wang Yi almost traversed Jinling in order to find a car repair shop in a remote spot, because in the urban area, if he wanted to modify the vehicle illegally, he might not be able to hide it from the traffic police. Zhang Fei is the owner of this repair shop. He is as the name suggests. He is 1.85 meters tall. He has a fierce face and is full of tendons. At this moment, he was sitting in front of the repair shop doing nothing, drinking beer and eating barbecue, when suddenly he saw a large truck coming straight to him. There is still business so late? Zhang Fei murmured and got up to meet him. Are you the boss? Wang Yi said, looking at the man in front of him. Yes, what's wrong with your car? What's wrong? Zhang Fei passed Wang Yi directly and looked up at the truck. There is nothing wrong with the car. I want to add something to it. Wang Yi said as he took out a pen and paper from his body, and drew on the table beside him. It will be finished soon. It is a drawing of the surviving humans transforming the car model in the last days. It is similar to the shovel in front of the bulldozer, but it is triangular. It can push zombies or objects stuck in the road from the middle, and add an axle to the tail. Fixed on the anti-collision steel beam of the truck, behind the shovel is an iron chain. Drill a hole about 5 cm in length from the front of the car. The chain goes in, and a hand-cranked roulette is added to the cab, so that the shovel can move up and down, and there are zombies or obstacles. When the shovel is lowered by hand, it can be retracted during long-distance driving without affecting the flexibility of the vehicle. My grass, brother, what are you painting? Can you go on the road? Do you want to change this truck into a bulldozer? You don't care about this, you just tell me if you can do it. Wang Yi didn't have time to explain to him, and directly took out 5,000 yuan from his pocket. It can be done. Zhang Fei's eyes straightened when he saw Qian. The thing he drew was not difficult to make, it just took some steel and time. Do it now, can you do it tomorrow night? This is hard to say. Although it is not difficult for you to do this, it is time-consuming, there are many places to be welded, and the steel must be cut. Zhang Fei said after studying the drawings for a while. You don't need to weld, you just need to cut the steel, and I will weld. It's not that Wang Yi wants to help Zhang Fei, but Wang Yi's technique that he doesn't worry about Zhang Fei. You must know that this triangular shovel will not only face zombies in the future, but may also encounter vehicles stuck in the road. In my mind, this shovel is more important than the cargo of that truck. If those medicine maps are gone, you can still look for them along the road or when passing through the city. If the shovel is not strong, it will break after a few hits, and there will be no tools to repair it, which is equivalent to the car being useless. Sure you will. Zhang Fei hesitated. Wang Yi directly threw the money to Zhang Fei, gave orders to take out the tools and steel, and went straight to the pile of steel bars to select it. Really rich and self-willed. Zhang Fei is also simply, anyway, it is what you have to do, don't blame me for not being able to install it. The two were so busy. It wasn't until 3 o'clock in the morning that Zhang Fei cut all the steel to the size set by Wang Yi. Wang Yi did not idle during this time. After turning over the steel bar for a long time, as long as there is glass on the truck, all the anti-collision nets are welded with steel bars. The important parts of the entire truck, both side guard bars, including the car box, are all reinforced with steel bars by Wang Yi, only the front windshield and the door side windows, is surrounded by steel bars with the thickness of a little finger into a net. It is estimated that if you look bad, you can't see the way. Big brother, I have cut everything you want, oh my grass. Big brother, what are you doing? Zhang Fei looked at the heavily armed truck in front of him, and there was a mess in his head. If you weld this good truck like this, you can't get on the road at all. Regardless of Zhang Fei's stunned look at the truck, Wang Yi greeted Zhang Fei and immediately started welding. A ray of sunlight from the sky shone on the two busy people, as if to remind them that the night has passed and they should rest. Done. Zhang Fei patted his dusty hands. After two people's busy work all night, the weird shovel was finally welded, and then as long as it was assembled on the truck, the thousands of dollars were completely paid. Brother Yi, do you want to install this shovel now? Zhang Fei looked tired, and no one could stand up to work at night. You're not tired. The two of them were a little familiar with each other that night, and they didn't have that formality in speaking. Zhang Fei's name for Wang Yi also changed from Big Brother to Brother Yi. I'm adding 2,000 to you. You don't have to pick up other jobs today. Go to the gas station with me in the afternoon. Now I will order some takeaway. After eating, I have a good night's sleep and I have to stay up late at night. When Zhang Fei heard that Wang Yi was about to add money to him, he was not tired at the moment, his eyes were bright after eating the takeaway, and he found a cushion and fell asleep. Wang Yi was also tired while lying in the car. After all, this body is not like the physique of the previous 5-level evolutionary, and he can fight for a day without sleep. Under his wild thoughts, Wang Yi fell asleep. When he woke up again, it was already after 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Wang Yi became sober and got up and called Zhang Fei. Zhang Fei is still asleep. It is estimated that he does not do as much work as Wang Yi. If you don't know the truth, you won't be afraid. Wake up Zhang Fei. Wang Yi directly drove Zhang Fei's Pakara with 4 large oil barrels, and under Zhang Fei's guidance, he ran to the nearest gas station. When they arrived at the gas station, they told the gas worker that the number -20 diesel was full, and the two waited in the car. The gas worker didn't ask anything. After all, working at a gas station, He hadn't seen any customers. It took a while to fill up the 4 fuel tanks. After Wang Yi paid the money, he drove the car back to the repair shop, and first moved 4 barrels of fuel into the compartment with Zhang Fei. Zhang Fei looked at the piles of maps in the carriage and kept asking Wang Yi if he was going to travel the world, but he forgot that Wang Yi had already converted the truck into that look, so he couldn't get on the road at all. How to travel the world? Wang Yi didn't answer either. He installed the roulette in the cab on his own, and the two began to assemble with the help of a gantry crane. I worked hard until after 12 o'clock in the evening before installing the triangular steel shovel. Wang Yi tried to adjust it again. Although it was more laborious, it was considered successful. The steel shovel can be lowered to about 10 centimeters above the ground, except some particularly heavy things can basically ensure that all obstacles in front of the road are pushed aside. Looking at the loaded truck, Zhang Fei turned around and said shyly to Wang Yi, "Brother Yi, you see this car is all installed, isn't it?" Without thinking about it, Wang Yi directly gave out 2,000 yuan to Zhang Fei, which he agreed, and through conversations with Zhang Fei, Wang Yi also felt that Zhang Fei was a good young man. OZW.com He is serious and knows to obey. Last night, Wang Yi asked him to cut steel. Later, some welding was also done by Zhang Fei. He didn't complain at all, he took everything seriously. Although Wang Yi's generous remuneration is not excluded, he is still meticulous in being able to do things at such a late hour, and he must not be too bad in ordinary times. Therefore, Wang Yi had a little thought to take Zhang Fei away, and also wanted to leave a good impression on Zhang Fei, and then waited for the end of the world to break out before taking Zhang Fei along. "Zhang Fei, something may happen in a few days. If you believe me, don't go out and walk around tomorrow night. Prepare some food and water in this store. Lock the door before going to bed. It will take me 3 or 4 days. We'll come to you." "Hey? What do you mean, Brother Yi?" In fact, Zhang Fei also noticed Wang Yi's abnormality. First, he changed the good truck to look like this, and then bought so much diesel. The soap, maps, and other things in the compartment were piled up in a small pile. If Wang Yi had something wrong with him, but contact the time is not too short, and Zhang Fei didn't notice anything, but if it's okay, how can a normal person buy so many common things? So when Wang Yi said that, Zhang Fei didn't mean to be shocked, but calmly asked Wang Yi what he meant. "You don't need to worry about this. Oh, yes, I think you have a lot of spring steel, and a stove. You have used spring steel to grind me 10 machetes these days." Of speaking, Wang Yi drew another drawing for Zhang Fei. It was a strange knife with a handle almost at the length of the blade. The blade was straight. At the same time, the length of the blade was marked 1.5 meters. It is 6 centimeters wide and 1 centimeter thick. Zhang Fei wants to come to repair the car. There should be no problem with polishing and cutting the basic work. He also urged Zhang Fei to be sharper and looked at Zhang Fei as if he was about to ask Wang Yi. "You make the machete, I'll get it in a few days." After that, Wang Yi drove away. Zhang Fei was not given a chance to inquire, only Zhang Fei was left thinking and thinking. Wang Yi was also relieved that Zhang Fei felt that he would do what he said. Driving a car on the road, this is also the time that Wang Yi pinched. After 12 o'clock in the evening, I don't worry about being intercepted by the traffic police. There are few cars on the road in the middle of the night. There are no traffic police, only occasional ones. I was surprised how Wang Yi's truck looked like this, or there was a new type of truck that I had never seen before. Downstairs in the community, there is an X5 parked quietly on the dark road. If you are close to this, you can see cigarette butts all around the car. I want to come and this car has been parked here for a long time. Let me explain, brother, we've been waiting here for 2 days, the kid hasn't returned yet, do you know any news, and ran away. It was still the young man wearing a pink shirt, complaining to Chen Jiaming who was sitting in the driving seat. The 5 of them were gathered here by Chen Jiaming. They have been waiting for nearly 2 days, but for these 2 days, Wang Yi basically stayed in the Zhenfei repair shop to refit vehicles and had no time to go home. It happened that Chen Jiaming missed a few people. "Brother Ming, should we go up and ask the sister-in-law? Did the sister-in-law let the kid run?" The man in the pink shirt had erratic eyes and said so, but only he knew what he thought. Chen Jiaming's face became more gloomy when he heard the words, and subconsciously raised his head and glanced at his own window. The light was faint, and Li Mei should still be there if he wanted to come. Forget it, that's it tonight." Although Chen Jiaming wanted to question Li Mei face to face, Chen Jiaming felt irritated when he remembered that Li Mei had given him a green hat. "This kind of thing, whoever changed, I am afraid I dare not face it directly." The man in the pink shirt wanted to persuade Chen Jiaming, but the car had already been started by him, so he had no choice but to sigh, and turned his head to look at the faintly illuminated window, with a hint of greed in his eyes. The car started moving and slowly walked out of the community. However, 2 unusually dazzling lights were encountered in front of him. Chen Jiaming, who was shaking, almost couldn't open his eyes. "Fuck! How do you drive this, Yuan Guang dog?" The man sitting in the back seat yelled dissatisfiedly, and he had to pull the door to get out of the car despite the fact that the vehicle was still moving. "It's okay, don't cause trouble." Chen Jiaming yelled back and stopped the man with a short head. "Turn on the high beam at will, and to deal with this situation, you can only fight for a tooth." The 2 cars slowly converged. Although the lights were dazzling, Chen Jiaming still vaguely saw that the opposite car was a truck. "Hi, strange, why does this truck look like this?" As the vehicle approached, Chen Jiaming and the others saw that the glass of the truck was blurry. When they looked at it carefully, they saw that it was densely covered by steel bars, making it impossible to see the inside. "Hey, fuck! What brand of truck is this special?" The man in the pink shirt pointed to the huge steel shovel in front of the truck and said in surprise. "Who knows, these days, any car can be on the road." The man in the back seat grunted dissatisfiedly. "Okay." The 2 cars immediately missed, and Chen Jiaming subconsciously raised his head and looked at the cab of the truck. Through the dense steel bars, only the shadow of the person could be seen vaguely. This person? Chen Jiaming's eyes were filled with doubts. Somehow, Chen Jiaming felt that he had seen this man driving a truck somewhere. "Hey, Brother Ming, let's go there for a while. How about I introduce some younger sisters to you?" The man in the pink shirt suddenly stretched out his hand and shook it before Chen Jiaming's eyes, and said with a big smile. "Brother Ming, don't think about those things. There is more than just the sister-in-law in this world." The thought in his mind was interrupted by the man in the pink shirt. Chen Jiaming glanced at him in dissatisfaction. With a sudden force under his feet, the car quickly disappeared into the night. He didn't know that if it were not for the man in the pink shirt, he might not be able to survive the apocalyptic outbreak. Fuck! Wang Yi pressed the light control switch a few times, but the high beam of the truck still didn't change. "I don't know if it was rented, or it was damaged during refitting." Sitting in the car and fiddled with it for a while, there was no effect. Wang Yi was not entangled, got out of the car and locked the door, took out the prepared black spread from the cargo box, and wrapped the front of the car tightly. It was nearly midnight. Wang Yi finished his work, went upstairs and returned to his house. The soft and comfortable mattress did not make Wang Yi fall asleep. Looking at the dark yellow ceiling above his head blankly, Wang Yi didn't feel anxious because of the immediate outbreak of the end times, but was unusually calm. In any case, the end times will come. If you can't resist, then enjoy it. The next day, 5 o'clock in the evening. Wang Yi was sitting on the bed smoking a cigarette. Those were 2 boxes of Nanjing cigarettes that Wang Yi bought in tobacco specialty stores. They cost 12 yuan a box. They were not very expensive, but Wang Yi liked the fragrance and honesty of the cigarettes. In the past 10 years, the entire world collapsed. Alcohol and tobacco, these common items, basically stopped producing. In the later period, human beings gradually restored order. These items also had very little output, and Wang Yi was only better than the bottom. Human life is a little better, and I haven't seen such items as tobacco for a long time. The phone suddenly remembered, interrupting Wang Yi's thoughts. Wang Yi thought it was the items bought in the supermarket that arrived. He answered the phone and it turned out that it was the manager. "Mr. Wang, the goods you want have been delivered, please come down and sign for it." The manager's voice came through the phone. "Okay, I'll get down right away." Wang Yi hung up the phone and looked down the window. He saw a medium-sized truck parked next to his truck. Several workers were standing in front of the truck smoking cigarettes and chatting. Wang Yi put on his clothes and hurried downstairs. The manager was talking to several workers, and when Wang Yi came down, he immediately greeted him. "Sir, all the things you want are here. We asked these workers to unload the goods for you. Do you see if this truck will be delivered to you upstairs or? You don't need to send it upstairs, just unload it directly onto this truck." Wang Yi opened the truck compartment as he said. Several workers saw that they were sent upstairs without much effort. They just moved from one truck to another, and started unloading with a gusto. Wang Yi, can you come here?" A weak female voice sounded. Wang Yi followed the voice and saw Li Mei leaning against the unit door, looking at herself with complicated expression. "What? Sister Mei, is something wrong?" Wang Yi had long forgotten about the attack on Chen Jiaming before. Seeing that Li Mei looked at him with a trace of sadness in his eyes, Wang Yi couldn't help scratching his head in doubt. "Did you tell Jiaming that you have that kind of relationship with me?" Li Mei bit her lip rather tangledly. Since Jiaming beat her that day, he has never returned home, but a man who claimed to be Chen Jiaming's friend called Li Mei and said that Chen Jiaming had known about her cheating. But this made Li Mei even more puzzled. What kind of joke? She cheated without knowing it. Li Mei asked the man immediately and finally knew that the object of her derailment was a neighbor named Wang next door. The surname is Wang, next door. Li Mei thinks about going, and it is estimated that Wang Yi is the only one. Seeing Wang Yi's silence, Li Mei said angrily. "Why do you say that? Do you know how much trouble your words have caused me?" Looking at Li Mei in distress, Wang Yi didn't know what to say for a while. After all, he just said something casually, but didn't think about the future. "In this way, Sister Mei, wait for tomorrow, and I will give you an answer. Tomorrow will be the end of the world." "Bah! Obscene!" Li Mei yelled angrily and looked at Wang Yi with a calm face. There was a burst of hatred in her heart. She had never thought that her usually gentle neighbor would slander herself so much. Although Li Mei and her husband Chen Jiaming have a bad relationship, they are still husband and wife. How can they have a trace of affection? Now that Wang Yi is so disturbed, the fragile red line between the two has been torn apart. "If you say that, then I won't explain anything." Wang Yi shook his head indifferently, and did not continue to pay attention to Li Mei. Anyway, when the end of the world breaks out tomorrow, everything will be solved. The big deal will save Li Mei's life. It's even-tied. "You bastard!" Looking at Wang Yi's back, Li Mei's tears fell unconvincingly, and she returned home in silence. Li Mei wrapped herself in a quilt tightly, as if this thin quilt could bring herself and herself. The world is generally isolated. 7 o'clock in the evening. After all the goods were loaded, Wang Yi handed over the remaining money to the manager, locked the truck, and slowly walked out of the community toward the pedestrian street with a lot of people. Wang Yi wanted to see this world, a world that was about to become a ruin. Mingguolang, the more famous night market in Jinling, Wang Yi wandered all the way, not knowing when he got here, watching the bustling crowd. For a while, he was a little dumbfounded. Maybe tomorrow, there will be no such scenery. Brother, do you want flowers?" I don't know how long it took, an 11 or 12-year-old girl appeared in front of Wang Yi with a bunch of roses in her hand, looking at Wang Yi timidly. Oh! Wang Yi woke up suddenly, looking at the longing eyes of the girl in front of him. Wang Yi couldn't help showing a smile from his heart. Yes, how much do you spend? The little girl wrinkled her nose and smiled sweetly when she heard that. Her gaze at Wang Yi was not so timid anymore. It's only 20 yuan, it's cheaper than others. The little girl saw Wang Yi not talking, and thought Wang Yi was not satisfied with the price. Brother, if you buy more, you can still make it cheaper. Wang Yi thought for a while, looked at the eager little girl in front of him, and said with a slight smile on his lips. In this way, I bought all of your flowers, so you can calculate how much. Really? The little girl couldn't believe it. Really? Wang Yi nodded vigorously, and at the same time took out the remaining money from his pocket and put it all into the little girl's hands. But, brother, you gave too much. This is only 100 flowers. The little girl labored to hold the bouquet with one hand, and the other hand held the thick stack of banknotes to Wang Yi. Your flowers are worth the price. Wang Yi shook his head and reached out to take one from the bouquet. I will take this flower. I will give you all the rest. Remember, don't sell the flower to others. OZW.com. But, the little girl still wanted to say something, but found that the man had already gone away. Looking at his vague back, the little girl suddenly shouted softly. Big brother, thank you, no need. Go on living. Wang Yi waved his hand, disappearing into the darkness without looking back. 2 hours after returning to the community, Wang Yi heard a violent quarrel as soon as he stepped out of the elevator. A man and a woman, the voices are very familiar. Noisy, after today, there will be no chance again. Wang Yi didn't care what they were arguing, even though he heard his name vaguely. Turning back to the room, locking the door, Wang Yi sat cross-legged on the bed, thinking about how to spend these 3 difficult days after the end of the world broke out tomorrow. Wang Yi did not drive a truck to a place with few people, but stayed in the city center, because Wang Yi knew that the first 3 days of the end of the world were the most violent time for zombies. In his previous life, only 30% of the world's population remained in these 3 days. Nearly 10% of people were killed or infected by a sudden outbreak of zombies within a day. Although it was a zombie outbreak that caught many people by surprise, scientists have calculated that when humans were just infected with zombies, their desire for flesh and blood was twice that of the later period. This is also one of the reasons for the heavy casualties of human beings in the early last days. While Wang Yi stayed in the city center, besides avoiding this period, he had another idea, which is to improve his strength. Half a month after the outbreak of the last life, a soldier of a certain unit of the capital military region slashed the head of the zombie in half while fighting the zombie. Then a piece of milky white flesh fell out of the zombie's head, about the size of a thumb. The soldier, I have never seen such a thing, and it is incompatible with the dark brown flesh and blood of a zombie, so I picked up the meat and handed it to the scientists in the gathering place for research. However, the scientists have not studied the structure of the meat at all, but thought it was. The diseased tissues in the corpse caused by infection are ignored. Later, the piece of meat was cleared out of the laboratory, and it happened that a group of soldiers was patrolling with the army dog. After seeing the piece of meat, the army dog broke the chains and ate the piece of meat in spite of the soldiers' scolding. The scientist heard the noise outside, put down what was in his hands and went out to ask, but he did not expect to see a scene that shocked him. After eating the white piece of meat, the army dog quickly swelled to twice its original size, his muscles bulged, and he became extremely manic at the same time, and he bit at the soldier who raised it since he was a child. The mutant army dog was then subdued, and after the scientists knew that it was caused by the white piece of meat, all the scientific researchers in the entire gathering area began to study the white piece of meat intensively. In the end, half a month later, although the scientists did not study what substance the white meat is made of, after repeated experiments, they found that this meat can not only modify the physique of animals, but also has the effect of enhancing physical fitness and changing genes for humans. Just rinse the meat with high alcohol before taking it, otherwise it will become manic like that army dog. Later, a group of scientists named the white meat block as basic meat. After much publicity in the capital gathering place, almost all surviving humans knew the role of basic meat. Thus, a vigorous massacre began. Of course, it is not that humans slaughter zombies, but zombies slaughter humans. When the news of the basic meat came out, all humans went crazy, thinking that this is not the end of the world, but a biological evolution. Basically all the surviving humans came out to hunt the zombies, but when they faced the zombies, they found that it was not the case. Zombies are getting stronger. It's not as slow as in the early days of the last days, without thinking, but basically becoming like a normal person, and some zombies have evolved other abilities. Because of the sudden growth of zombies, many humans who hunted zombies were counter-killed by zombies, and there were also many lucky ones who became evolvers through basilized flesh, and Wang Yi's last life was also one of those lucky ones. Therefore, Wang Yi chose to stay in the city instead of going to a remote place with few people. He wanted to use the early end of the last days, when the zombies were slow to move, to increase his strength crazily. If he missed this time, there will be no more in the future. Such a good opportunity. Wang Yi took out 2 weapons and put them on the bed and wiped them gently. One was when Wang Yi was refitting a truck. Wang Yi sharpened an iron rod with the thickness of a thumb at one end and cut it to a length of about 1.5 meters. The tail was wrapped around a cloth strip by Wang Yi to prevent slipping. The other is a Nepalese machete that Wang Yi bought after looking for a long time today. It can kill zombies at close range and also kill people. Wipe up the 2 weapons and place them on the bedside where they can be reached at any time. Wang Yi adjusted the phone alarm to 5 o'clock in the morning of the next day, because the end of the world began at about 6 o'clock. At that time, most everyone has just woken up, and a small number of people who work early or work far away have already left, and there are not too many or too few cars on the road. The next day, early in the morning, 5:30. Wang Yi took a bath with great pain, put on a brand new camouflage uniform, put on his combat boots, and sat by the window and looked down. There were 2s and 3s on the road running morning exercises, and several adults with children sent the children to the school bus, waving their hands reluctantly. On this day, many people in the world are doing different things. Some are eating breakfast, some are driving on the way to work, and some may be still asleep or just getting up. Everyone is unique in this world. Everyone is fighting for their dreams. At the same time, everyone's fate in the next moment is inevitably intertwined. Looking at the second hand on the watch, it gradually turned around, the hour hand also pointed to 6 o'clock, Wang Yi slowly closed his eyes. Wow! A roar that was not like a human being could break the quiet morning in an instant. Sure enough, Wang Yi slowly opened his eyes and watched the mess downstairs. The few people who had sent their children to school in the early morning had already bitten each other. The harmonious scene just now disappeared. They opened their terrifying mouths with sharp teeth that were infected with the virus and bit each other. Suddenly flesh and blood flew. A few young people had just become zombies, and they immediately rushed to the woman next to her. The woman was so frightened, her legs trembled, and a trace of urine flowed down the tight pants. She didn't have the strength to run at all, and let a few zombies threw her down and bit her, making a horrible scream in her mouth. It may be that one of the zombies was annoyed by her screams, and stretched out an infected claw. The hand, the whole arm was worn in from the woman's lower body, and when she came out, she was carrying a series of intestines and internal organs of the woman, constantly stuffing it into her mouth. The woman's tragic wailing suddenly stopped. The woman with a hideous face because a piece of flesh and blood was bitten by the zombies suddenly opened her eyes and opened her mouth. She feels swiftly in her body. Even though Wang Yi was upstairs, she seemed to hear the sound of her intestine being torn from the esophagus. The men and women who used to run in the morning, the women have become zombies, opening their blood basins and biting the man's shoulder bit by bit. The man is hugged by his wife's hands tightly, can't get away, can only howl in pain on the side yet. He couldn't even think of how his usual gentle and virtuous lover would suddenly bite himself crazy. These are just the most common scenes in the last days. Wang Yi calmly looked at all of this. He knew that all of this was just the beginning. Boom boom boom, a violent knock on the door, accompanied by the hysterical scream of the woman. Wang Yi! Help me, Jiaming, he doesn't know what's wrong. Suddenly, listening to the crazy sound of the woman outside the door slamming on the door, Wang Yi knew that Li Mei still hadn't avoided the fate of her previous life. But I am no longer my last life. After tidying up the clothes, picking up the machete by the bed, Wang Yi opened the door and saw that Li Mei was wearing pajamas at this time. She should have just gotten up to wash her hair. There was still unwashed shampoo on her hair, and her face should have been sleepy. Full of panic because of her husband's changes. Li Mei watched Wang Yi open the door, immediately stopped the hand that continued to clap the door, and said in a trembling voice. Wang Yi, listen to me, I was washing my hair just now, and Jiaming suddenly. As soon as Wang Yi stretched out his hand, he blocked Li Mei's trembling lips, and said at the corner of his mouth an auto-speak meaning, missed Li Mei, and walked towards her house with a knife. Li Mei didn't understand what Wang Yi meant for a while. Seeing Wang Yi walking towards her own house, Li Mei's divine envoy followed him. If she knew what was going to happen next, she would probably be killed. Nor would he follow Wang Yi. Gently push open the outer door of Li Mei's house and look inside. In the luxuriously decorated living room, Wang Yi did not see Chen Jiaming. Where is he? Wang Yi turned to ask Li Mei, who was shivering behind him. He is in that room. Li Mei shivered, stretched out her arms, pointed to a door on the left side of the living room and cried slightly. Last night, he suddenly came back and started quarreling with me. Then I went back to my room to sleep. I thought he would go. Who knew I got up in the morning and found him in that bedroom, lying on the bed, vomiting blood constantly. Okay, I see. Wang Yi stopped Li Mei's next words and motioned for Li Mei to follow. Hey! The two of them had just approached the room where Chen Jiaming was located, and an abnormal sound came out through the wooden door, as if the people inside had taken great pain. Ah! Jiaming! Li Mei exclaimed, and dared to bypass Wang Yi and pushed the door open. Crack! The wooden door opened at the sound, and what came out was a grey-white face, tight muscles on his face, blood-red eyes, and teeth on his mouth that had grown out, like a skinned vicious dog, facing Li Mei's hand fiercely. Bite over. Li Mei watched her husband just lying in bed coughing up blood last moment, but now she suddenly turned into this appearance, shocked in her heart, she couldn't dodge it at all. Be careful! Wang Yi roared, put his hand on Li Mei's shoulder, and pulled back forcefully to avoid Chen Jiaming's attack. At the same time, the other arm holding the machete slashed at Chen Jiaming's head. Click! OZW.com. A chubby head, boom boom, rolled to the ground twice. He died completely by Wang Yi's knife after all. Puff! The foul black blood spewing out from the broken neck, like a flood, sprayed on Li Mei, who was directly opposite. Ah! An exclamation sounded, and Li Mei subconsciously looked down at the husband at his feet. His mouth was closed to him, as if he was saying something. The poor woman finally couldn't bear what happened before her eyes turned up, and she fell straight back. Li Mei fainted, and Wang Yi didn't feel anything wrong. If Li Mei didn't have any expressions after seeing this scene, Wang Yi would doubt whether Li Mei was born again. Looking at Chen Jiaming's stubborn eyes, Wang Yi couldn't help but shook his head. Be a human again in your next life. Wang Yi muttered to the dry head, and then split the head in half with a knife. He didn't care about the sticky brain, and he reached out and stirred it a few times, found the basic meat in his pocket, and looked sideways. Wang Yi couldn't help sighing for Li Mei, who was dizzy and unconscious. In the previous life, Li Mei was eaten by Chen Jiaming, who was turned into a zombie in front of Wang Yi. At that time, Wang Yi didn't dare to open the door to rescue him. He watched Li Mei eat only bones. The picture was troubled. It took Wang Yi for a long time, but he didn't expect to live a lifetime and save this poor woman. Taking Li Meiking home on his shoulders, Wang Yi did not rush to swallow the basic meat in his hands, but first took off Li Mei's stinking pajamas, and wanted to change clothes for this woman, but who knew what was inside this woman? Without wearing anything, he went into battle in a vacuum. Watching the graceful ketone body lying on the sofa, Wang Yi's body inevitably reacted. This is not the time to relax. You can bear with me, wait for me to settle down, and take you to a big meal. Wang Yi thought so, resisting the little brother's resistance, and hurriedly washed Li Mei and put it on the bed. This Li Mei is probably really frightened. No matter how Wang Yi tossed, she did not wake up. The trace, if it wasn't for Wang Yi to watch her vibrate slightly with her heart, he thought that this woman was scared to death. Wang Yi is not a good man and believer. After he became a 5th-level evolutionary in his previous life, he did both good and bad things, but he also knew what to do when. Now the end of the world has just arrived, and my body is far less powerful than the previous life, not even a 1st-level evolutionary. If you are distracted at this time, once you taste the sweetness of love, it will never end and affect your physical strength and judgment. Power is not good for Wang Yi now. I found a half bottle of medical alcohol from the cabinet, cleaned the basilized meat, put the genetic meat into my mouth without thinking, and swallowed it in one bite without chewing. Feeling a wave of heat dissipating in his body, Wang Yi quickly started various exercises, push-ups, sit-ups. As long as it was a movement that consumed physical energy, Wang Yi did it all over again. This is the method summed up by humans in the later life of the previous life. Doing some physical exercises while devouring the basic meat will enhance the effect of the basic meat and also maximize the energy brought by the basic meat. Half an hour later, Wang Yi lay on the ground, feeling that the energy brought by the base of the flesh had disappeared, and at the same time there were many changes in his body. First of all, Wang Yi's physique was not that bad. He usually does some sports such as running basketball, which is a little stronger than ordinary people, but it is only a little stronger, and there is still a gap between being strong. After eating this basilized meat, Wang Yi could clearly feel the changes in his body, got up and walked to the bathroom, looked at his muscles in the mirror, and visibly bulged. The fat on his waist had disappeared. The effect of eating the first piece of basic meat is much stronger. Holding the machete and swiping it a few times, he felt that his power and speed were much stronger than before. It was estimated that he would eat another 10 pieces of genetic meat. Will break through the 1st level of evolution. Wang Yi didn't go hunting for zombies right away, but picked up a bucket on the ground and poured it on himself. The violent exercise just now, coupled with the various toxic substances discharged from the body after eating basic meat, he already had some. It's better to wash the body clean. Wow, a bucket of cold water was poured on him. Wang Yi wiped it indiscriminately, and returned to the living room naked. Just after getting dressed, he heard the sound of crying in the bedroom and Li Mei woke up.